I just want to say, you see, this my belt for my coach, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov. Many years ago, he told me, just training hard and
Since his start in the UFC in 2014, Islam Makhachev has gone from a rookie with stars in his eyes to lightweight champion. Widely considered unbeatable in his division, Makhachev is a master wrestler that brings fighters to the ground and keeps them there. But is Makhachev really as good as he's presented, or is he just a decent fighter riding the red wave brought on by his coach and UFC GOAT contender Khabib Nurmagomedov? Born in the Republic of Dagestan, Islam started out with Sambo, where he would first develop his strong grappling skills and roots. Taking fights in the Russian promotion M1, Islam's skill in controlling his opponent and bringing them down became readily apparent to onlookers of his fights. When the UFC came knocking, Makhachev answered the door. In 2014, Islam signed a 4-fight contract with the UFC. It took him a little bit of time to get going, including a momentary setback with USADA and his only professional loss against Adriano Martins. But Makhachev was on the scene and ready to dominate the lightweight division. After a string of wins, it was time to make an impression. Makhachev's fight against Drew Dober was where he showed the world who he truly was. Drew Dober had powerful hands and everyone knew it. In his last 2 fights, he won highlight reel knockouts that sent his opponents into the other world. Islam needed to move past cannons in order to secure his win condition. Fortunately for him, Dober has a bad history against submissions, not just in that one terrible stoppage, but overall. His last 3 losses at all came by submission, which Islam excelled at. Throughout the fight, Islam managed to pull down and smother Dober, completely nullifying his ability to throw his powerful left hand.
Back to mount. Oh, now it takes the back. Oh, Drew's up. Oh, he's got to be careful.
Once he shot for a takedown, he got it. Dober was completely at the mercy of Makhachev's powerful grappling. It took a few rounds, but once he clinched in his arm triangle choke, it was over. After that bout, Makhachev was in the crosshairs of Thiago Moises. Moises was dangerous. His leg locks in particular could quickly swing any fight in his favor. Even if he couldn't secure a submission, he could easily take the pace and pin down whoever he was up against. Where the strategy against Dober was to place him on the mat and keep him there, the strategy for Moises was to show that he's more than just a wrestler. And boy did he. Islam was looking to maul Moises in this bout. He demonstrated that he's got the striking to compete in the UFC, brutalizing Moises with punches and knees. When the clinches came, Islam got control easily. When the time came to finish the match, he returned to his staple grappling in order to close it out. By that point, Moises had enough already anyway. Next came his stellar performance against quick replacement Dan Hooker. Even if he was on short notice, Dan Hooker was nobody to look past. He had a history of slick knockouts and bull rushes. Hooker was definitely a dangerous opponent.
I don't feel like it's my place to try and convince people how I'm going to win. They can go back and watch my fights and they'll know.
However, once the bell rung, it didn't take long for things to turn bad for Hooker. Just 1 minute into the round, Islam caught a leg kick and shot for a takedown to take control. From then on, it was only a matter of time. The two fought for control for a time, but Makhachev stayed on top for the whole sequence. Hooker was caught in the bear trap. It took Makhachev 1 minute to secure a takedown, and it took 1 minute and 30 seconds to secure a fight-ending Kimura lock. While he was pretty notorious in his division by this point, Islam wasn't one of UFC's golden boys just yet. In order to achieve that fame, he'd have to take down the champion, and the champion of lightweights was one Charles Oliveira. Sure, the belt was vacated at the time, but we know the deal. Oliveira was the champ, no matter what some sketchy scale controversy might say otherwise. Oliveira was looking incredibly good coming into this match, defeating fan favorite fighters Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, and Michael Chandler one after the other. Do Bronx held more than just the belt. He was holding the record for the most finishes, and he was holding the record of the longest finishing streak at 7 fights. A crazy number of fights to clean out in a row. As a master BJJ practitioner, Oliveira was looking like Makhachev's hardest challenge yet.
These guys always want to magnify, doesn't speak English, nobody understands you.
Hey, it's gonna be a pleasure to fight you. You're a great champion. Hey, we're making history. Don't worry, let's make this happen.
Let's make, we're almost here. Just can't wait.
Early in the fight, it was obvious the two were on opposite ends of the grappler spectrum. Islam quickly found himself in a dangerous position when he passed guard only to be threatened with an armbar or choke. The two quickly transitioned from one position to the next, with neither looking to fall victim to the other. In the second, Oliveira came out more aggressive, seeking to put himself in the dominant position rather than to wait for it to happen. It was clear that Oliveira was more concerned with Islam's wrestling than his striking. His aggression proved to be a fatal mistake. Makhachev cleared a right hook across Oliveira's jaw that dropped him and allowed him to slip right into a choke with little resistance from the champion. After a short couple of seconds, Oliveira tapped. Islam Makhachev was the champion. He had the belt, he had the status, and he had all the prestige raining down on him as the next Khabib. But in order to retain all of that, he needed to beat his next opponent, Alexander Volkanovski. Volk is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the UFC. Moving up in weight class from featherweight, Volk was looking dangerous coming into their bout. As the champion, Volkanovski was coming with a 5-fight win streak. His striking was phenomenal, but most importantly for this matchup, Volkanovski had an uncanny ability to escape from grapples and submissions. It was hard to pin him down and even harder to keep him there. Islam had finally found his counter.
I have to be #1 pound-for-pound champion. That's why I have to go to the Australia and beat this guy.
The match quickly turned into a back and forth between champions. Things looked to be in Volk's favor early as he managed to stun Makhachev with a quick left hand at the first round. Makhachev responded just a minute later by bringing Volk to one knee and grinding him out against the cage. Truly, the fight was neck and neck. However, it was looking like Volk was taking the lead. With stiff shots, his striking was proving effective against Islam. Islam was successful in taking him down, but not much else. When the final bell rung, for many viewers, it looked like Volk had taken home the victory. The judges disagreed. Makhachev's arm was the one raised in the end, a controversial decision if there ever was one, with many believing the featherweight champion was the one robbed in the end.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, that's insane. Oh, really? That's insane. He got robbed. He got fucking robbed. I gotta see my $2 grand. No.
Which brings us to the hard question about Islam Makhachev. It's hard not to compare Islam's success and career with Khabib. The two train together, have the same styles, and have similar hard-to-pronounce names. But with Islam being touted as the next Khabib, we have to compare the two. And well, Islam isn't looking as hot. His last fight against Volk, a lot of people consider that a loss for Makhachev. While he took it home against Oliveira, the fight ended with a surprise right hand that floored him. The two fights before that were meant to be real big fights against Rafael Dos Anjos and Beneil Dariush, but they ended up being short-notice replacements instead. None of this is to say Makhachev is bad in any way, but well, maybe he's not the next Khabib just yet. With his upcoming rematch against Volkanovski coming in October, he'll have his chance to prove me wrong about that. If he goes up in weight to take on Colby Covington like the rumors are suggesting, he'll have another chance too. That's it for the breakdown on Islam Makhachev. Do you think Islam has what it takes to replace Khabib? As always, subscribe for more MMA and combat sports content. See you next time.